All right, everybody, we're here. It is Friday, the 16th of February, and all's quiet. All is quiet with the Seattle Seahawks, at least in terms of the roster, not the coaching staff. The coaching staff is popping. Coaching staff is moving every few days. We're getting a new announcement. We hired this guy, we hired that guy, but the roster remained relatively stagnant and stable. And I mean that in mostly a positive way. It's not something that I'm against at all. So when I say stagnant, I know that kind of sounds bad. It's not. But yeah. So I know that I already talked about this a little bit yesterday, and it seemed pretty clear where this was headed. But now that we're at the actual day, just to make it official, the Seattle Seahawks have made it to the day where injury guarantees vest into full guarantees, and they have done so without releasing any of the key players who were affected by that. So, what this means, first of all, just to get the little things out of the way, DK Metcalf, his injury guarantees are now fully guaranteed, which means it would now cost significantly more money to release DK Metcalf than it would be to keep DK Metcalf. Not that we were ever going to release him anyway. That was never going to happen. But we are now in a situation officially where DK Metcalf is completely uncuttable. Uchenna Nwosu, same boat. Now, we were never going to cut him either. If you were going to move off of him for some reason, you would have, of course, moved him. You would have traded him. But his base salary now goes from a injury guarantee. And by the way, he's injured anyway, so it was probably uncuttable anyway. But now it's fully guaranteed for 2024, which means can't cut him. It costs way more to cut him than it does to keep him. So those two guys don't have to think about that anymore. We're good. We're good to go going into 2024 with those two guys, as we all knew. The interesting ones, at least the somewhat interesting ones, well, you've got Dre'Mont Jones. And Dre'Mont Jones was very unlikely to be released anyway, because even before today, most of his salary was guaranteed from the Seahawks, meaning that releasing him would have meant saving it was less than $5 million. But now, releasing him would actually cost you more than keeping him. I think releasing him, sorry if you can hear that, but releasing him would cost somewhere along the lines of $20 million, and keeping him costs $18 million, if I recall the numbers correctly. So Dre'Mont Jones also not going anywhere. He got $7 million guaranteed today. The big one, however, and the one that is actually interesting, would be Geno Smith. So Geno Smith, as of today, got his base salary for 2024 fully guaranteed. I'm really sorry about that, guys. Of course, you would just choose now to go crazy. Yeah, so Geno Smith had his base salary get fully guaranteed today. We've been over this before, but just to reaffirm, that means it would now cost about $30 million to release him or cut him. Well, however, whatever terminology you want to use there. Release him or cut him, $30 million. His cap hit is 31.2, so you're saving approximately $1 million if you cut him at this point. So that is definitely off the table now. So the only conversation we can have about Geno Smith now, and this also kind of applies to Dre'Mont Jones, is should we trade them? Because the base salary guaranteeing doesn't guarantee it comes from the Seahawks. It just guarantees it's going to come from somebody. If we trade these players, then they could get that guaranteed money from the team they get traded to, which means the savings from not having Geno Smith are back on the table at that point. So in the case of Dre'Mont Jones, I don't think that's really going to be worthy of discussion. He didn't play well enough last year, and we still don't save that much money if we move off of him. Again, it's less than $5 million. We're still paying him 13.33 million, even if we do trade him. And what's somebody going to give up for Dre'Mont Jones? Fifth round pick? There's no way I'm doing that. That's not worth it. So I don't think there's anything to say about Dre'Mont Jones. Yes, he's probably overpaid. Yes, he's probably not living up to that contract, but we're going to have to find out the hard way. That's just the nature of that contract right now. One more year, and then in 2025, we can make a decision, probably move off of him, and it's fine. It's not the end of the world. Sometimes you overpay a player. He's still not a bad player, and odds are very good that under a new coaching staff, we're going to see better things from him. The interesting thing would be with Geno Smith. So I went over this yesterday, but he's got a roster bonus that kicks in on, I believe, the 17th of March, $9.6 million. What that means is if Geno Smith is on the Seahawks roster on March 17th, we owe him the $9.6 million. We do. Not the team that he's on when the season starts, but we do on that day. So we're going to make another video about this in the near future, but what that means is if we're going to trade Geno Smith, we have to do it before March 17th, or else we're stupid. Because if you trade him after then, you're going to pay him the $9.6 million and you get nothing out of it at that point. You just make him, if anything, completely untouchable. So that's the deadline. The 17th of March is right after the first week of free agency. So what that really means is also you don't even get to know if you drafted somebody, right? Because the draft isn't until late April. So if you're thinking about playing this like, okay, we're going to keep Geno Smith, and then we're going to get to the draft, and then we're going to either draft a quarterback and then trade Geno, or we don't draft a quarterback and then we decide, okay, we're going to go forward with Geno or something like that. That can't happen because the draft is way after the roster bonus kicks in. So simply put, we're just going to have to live with not knowing how the draft plays out when we make this call. So that makes things harder. That makes things more complicated. This is not a great free agency period for quarterbacks. I don't see much out there that we could do that would make this situation any better. But that's the circumstance. So obviously the next month is going to be filled with a lot of Geno Smith trade discussion. I'm going to make one video about it and then probably call it, because I don't think it's going to happen. I think that there's like a 5%, maybe at most 10% chance we trade him. Because we're going to need real compensation back for it, because we're paying most of his salary in 2024. And it's not worth it then. It's like, okay, if I'm going to be paying most of his money anyway, you better give me some serious goods. You better give me first-round picks. And I don't think anybody's going to do that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think the odds are small. So what you see is what you get, guys. The roster's the roster. And I know I have many commenters. I know there are many people out there in Seahawks Nation that are very, very disappointed about that. I'm not, of course. I'm perfectly fine with Geno for another year. In fact, as I've said, I would be looking to extend him now, because there's a very good chance he has a monster year under Ryan Grubb, and then you're not going to be able to extend him easily next year. But that's a discussion for another time, a discussion that we've already pretty much had anyway, so I don't feel the need to belabor it, and I don't think it's happening. But that is what I would be looking to do personally, because it saves a lot of money this year. But yeah, Geno Smith, Dre'Mont Jones, they are safe for the moment. They're getting their money. DK, Nwosu, also safe, but we all knew that. Myers may have also had some guarantees kick in today. I'm not sure about that, but either way, he's not going anywhere. It's even year, guys. It's even year. See you guys later. Go Hawks.